Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm good, Rachel. How you doing?
I'm doing great. No spoilers first. I want to talk about kind of like the mystery genre because you're used to it. Because I'm still very upset about Death in the Nile and that you're not going to be in this next Hercule Poirot movie.
So
But
it's
very upset about it. But with kind of the murder mystery esque genre and like the appeal of it for fans, what is kind of the fun of like taking a more comedic approach to it versus something like Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile?
well, I think that by virtue of what it is as a genre, it can get very heavy and it's pretty scary and dark. And there's room in the world to explore those spaces, and we do need to explore those spaces because there's a lot of terrible things that go on in the world. And one of the wonderful things about film, television, telling stories, you can hold a mirror up to that. But I think also there has to be space for comic relief in that, and people don't just want to be scared all the time. And also, human beings are we're complex creatures. Something can be awfully traumatic at one moment and incredibly funny the next. And respectfully treading that line is quite an exciting space to be. And I think personally, as an audience member, when I'm watching a murder mystery, there are so many things to keep you engaged. But in terms of a variety of tone, instead of constantly going, who did it, to sort of add comic elements to it, it's really fun and keeps you sort of your brain refreshed as well.
Yeah, and then what I'm about to ask next, I'll put after it's been released. But it only makes your last name so much better. One of my favorite like stories is American Psycho, and the scene in this show when Matt is kind of just like killing everyone on the dance floor. I was like, oh, this is Patrick Bateman. I love this so much. Uh,
Yes.
and it was so cool, kind of getting to explore like I think because I like Patrick Bateman and I see that as a satire, this show is so much more fun for me because I was like, oh, he's absolutely off the rails, but thinks he's very funny and charming. And it's
Yeah.
very fun to kind of unpack that. So, what was the draw for you of like getting to play someone so deranged and yet he's like worried about content the majority of the season?
Yeah, I mean, the Bateman link there, especially with Jason Bateman producing this show, is strong. Yeah,
It's
I
the
mean, I
Bateman
love.
name.
Yeah, it's a Bateman thing. I love the scene in American Psycho when they're talking about the business cards and the slightly off-white color, and it's such a fun bit of texture for that character. He's sort of
Mm-hmm.
obsessed with vanity and things. And I think that's quite parallel here with this character. I mean, what I found so interesting about him was well, really, he was overwhelming for me at first. I thought, my God, who is this guy? How do I make this in any way real? Because it's such a huge swing of a creative decision to do this story. But that excited me a lot, and I thought I was playing a lot at the beginning with a lot of being sort of quite scary and intimidating, but at the same time, the mask that he wears, this charming mask that he's perfected, that we see in characters like Patrick Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
They how do these psychopaths operate in everyday life? How do they work? And they work actually very well. Um, and I think that's the interesting sort of pull of a character going, he's this thing and he's also this thing, putting him into different situations. How would he behave? I loved filming scenes like when I'm in the supermarket with my kid and then I see this woman that I'm going to kill and going, wait, so he's being a loving father 1 second, then he's about to sort of start plotting this woman's murder, and then he goes back to his kid and he's good with his kid as well. It was I'd never read anything like him, and it's one of the main reasons I jumped at the opportunity to play him.
And I'm like obsessed with yesterday. I had a whole Christmas scene today because I also saw the Boogeyman last night, and I was like, I've been overwhelmed by Christmas Cena content for all
Amazing.
of Tuesday. But
Yeah,
I love how this show plays with height between you and Christmas Cena because it's like you're so much taller than him, but then when he does kind of fight back, it's like, oh wow, he can like hurt someone if he has to
totally.
protect like his family. And so when you guys are building kind of that relationship that is friends at first and then kind of like he's trapped and you're just like, oh, I thought this was still my friend kind of deal. How do you guys as actors kind of like start building that together?
Well, we were Chris is. I cannot say enough wonderful things about Chris. He's just the most beautiful human being, and I mean, even after the first read, I came in to read with Chris in LA when they flew me out to read with the producers and stuff. And even in that room, I thought, "Fuck, this guy's awesome. He's so generous." And he just cares. He's a true artist and a true actor, and he just cares about the scene and the dynamic. And very, very quickly, we became very good friends very, very quickly. And all throughout, we would constantly pick the scene apart because there are so many moments in this show that can be played so many different ways. And so trying to navigate that on your own is quite difficult. But having a scene partner like Chris and Kaylee too is just
Mhm.
so it's such a gift. And the three of us became very, very close, and we would be very, very silly and stupid on set. I don't know how the hell we got this show shot because we would just laugh through most takes, but it was a real camaraderie that we had together, and it just felt very safe to be able to explore and do very, very different things. We'd feed each other different things offline and off camera, sorry, and improvise around the story, which the creatives were really enthusiastic and encouraging for with. So yeah, I love him, and I don't know how this show would work without him and Kaylee. I think they're so perfect, and I can't imagine anyone else doing those roles.
Yeah, it's just I'm like I can't stop thinking about the show, and I was like, because I finished it last night, and when McEnroe gets shot, I was like, I looked at my cat and I was like, if anyone did that to you, it would be the same thing. Like I'd be
Yes.
ready to fight somebody. But thank you so much for talking with me today. I really can't wait for people to get to see the show, and I hope everyone wants to talk to me about it because I need to talk to people.
Amazing. I'm glad you liked it, Rachel. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.